Call is now being recorded.
Hi, thank you for doing this interview with me today. Could you please state your name, your business, and your current title at the business?
My name is Roger, Executive Vice President. The company is Synergy Associates, LLC.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so first question, we're just going to start out by hearing a little bit of your background on how you got involved with entrepreneurial activity.
Yeah, the background is, as we listen to various entrepreneurs, or if you've heard them, TV, newsprint, whatever medium, they're all interesting stories. And in my case, it started out as, being part of corporate America, working that angle for at least 10 years. And it occurred to me that, as I looked at executive management, I found them to be incompetent. I found them to be complacent. And it occurred to me that, these are the people that control my future. Prior to that, as I'm learning the various business disciplines and building on my career, I also knew that there's better ways of doing things. So through continuing education and speaking to folks that became my mentors and confidants, asking questions, how does one strike out on their own? What are the things that would prepare a person to go out, leave corporate America, if you will, and begin their own venture? And I found that to be extremely helpful. That was the basis for me getting involved in entrepreneurial activity.
Awesome. Okay, so kind of building off of that, right away when you began, starting to pursue this opportunity that you saw, did you have any major competitors starting out that you were, looking to or that you studied?
No, the competitive landscape is always there. One of the things about business, there's an old adage, profits attract competition. The key to that is competition always exists. It's really focusing on what is your value add to the customer, your value proposition for the customer. What is it that differentiates you from the competitors? So while competitors are always out there, they're not to be feared, disparaged, or anything else. You're aligning yourself with your customers and building relationships that add value to their business in some way, shape, or form. But it's the building of relationships that are important rather than focus on what competitors are doing necessarily.
Okay. So going off of that, I guess, will you explain just, briefly what your business is and, if there is like a competitor that sticks out, who would your competitor be? But just like a background of what you do.
So we're a national distributor of Hewlett-Packard Enterprise business servers. We're positioning ourselves in the Hewlett-Packard Enterprise channel of resellers that may also be interested in and or sell Dell computers. So we're really positioned against Dell. That would be our biggest competitor. So why Dell? Why HPE? That's the battle that we fight every day.
Okay. Makes sense. So what would you say was one of your biggest failures or learning experiences along the way as you, started building this company and, starting to find people and everything?
Failures. We all have failures. And we learn and grow from those. I often say to my sales folks, unless you learn to fail, they'll get discouraged losing an order, losing a deal. They've lost a customer. We learn from that. We build on that. In terms of, being an entrepreneur and the challenges that I've personally faced, I talk about partners. So I have a partner, and the challenges with the partner, really early on are the things that keep you awake at night. And you know, working through that, you know, do your partner's strengths complement yours? Are they completely different? Who reports to who? Who's calling the shots? What do you do when opinions differ? There are heated exchange like any other relationship. I mean, you know, partnerships in a corporation can be much like a marriage in terms of I'm right, you're wrong, we're going to do it my way,
Right.
however you want to describe that. But the way you keep that grounded is with the initial business plan. So we knew on day one, which any person should do at any level, what is the vision, what are the objectives, and put it down in form of a written business plan. And most business plans have to include the customer first. So if we're not focused on the customer, it doesn't matter if we complement each other. It doesn't matter if we're adversarial as partners. We'll never satisfy the customer unless we're focused on them. And with that focus, that's what brings success. But that really is really working within your own organization and sorting out, you know, egos and, like I said earlier, opinion differences or strategic decisions and those types of things. But again, while those can be stressful, trying times, it's with the customer in focus and going back to that original business plan and grounding each other in what were the values, the goals, objectives. That's what keeps it moving forward.
Awesome. Okay, makes sense. So from there, what kind of, you know, was there one specific event that kind of sparked the launch of your business, or how did you, you know, go about finding those first customers and first employees?
Sure, and that's the beauty of it. Nowadays, it seems to me when people think of entrepreneurs, we want to think about .coms. I think we all do. We think about .coms. We think about the Silicon Valley. That is typically, that's your better mousetrap story. Somebody invented a website for social media and everybody in the world's on it. You know, we all think that's the way. I have to invent a better mousetrap in order to launch a business. But most commonly it's coming up through the sales ranks. I actually started my career, been doing this now 33 years, started on the operations side, worked the last half of my career in sales, and it's developing relationships with customers that gave me the ability to see an opportunity to be entrepreneurial and actually start my own company. So again, as I talked about earlier, you're working in corporate America, you look above you, you see the people that control your future, you're not entirely impressed. You have aspirations to move beyond that, control your own destiny, strike out, take risk, which is the true spirit of entrepreneurialism is risk, having a great passion for a business and willing to take that risk. So, planning that, having those confidants, having those mentors, reaching out after work, while I am in corporate America, speaking with bankers, meeting with venture capital people. What is debt financing? What is equity financing? What does that mean in a startup scenario? And just having those discussions. Does it apply to my career in corporate America, what I'm doing in my day-to-day job? No, but it's preparing me for some eventuality. What is that specifically? I don't know. I just knew at the time it was preparation.
Right.
So flash forward, part of one of the largest corporations in the world, as a matter of fact, and well, they acquired us, and suddenly you have 2,000 people that are laid off as a result of an acquisition. So as we stand there getting the announcement, my current partner, then colleague, looked at me and said, "Oh, great, what are we going to do now?" While that situation, and as you can imagine, in a room, in that environment at that time, you have anger, you have sadness, you have despair, and you certainly have a lot of anxiety. I had an overwhelming feeling of, I just got freed up. I just got unshackled. I just got my ticket to start my own business. So as he looked at me and said, what are we going to do now? I said, we're going to start our own company. And he said, explain to me how that's going to happen. I said, you know what? Let's go back. We'll call our customers. We'll tell them exactly what happened. And they'll tell us. And, we circled back with each other the next day. We had the same scenario. 8 out of 10 of our customers were like, you know what, guys? All I need is your new phone number. And that's when, it's confirmed people buy from people. They don't buy from companies. And developing those relationships, adding that value to your clients, they will follow you to the end of your career. And that's been the fact for us. We're now, 20 years old, 30 plus employees, $24 billion annual sales. And that's happened one way. It's by developing those relationships with our clients and our supplier partners.
Right. Awesome. Okay. So going from there, I guess, so how many hours did you work per day, and how did you obtain the investors, once everything was, ready?
So, prior to the startup, like I said, you're working in your career. Typically for me, as I'm building my career, that's minimum 10 hours. A lot of times it's 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. And then there's extra hours on top of that. And like I said, that's when, hey, I got a meeting with some folks that are in venture capital. I got some meetings with some seed capital company. There's a couple of bankers that provide debt financing in our industry. And just meeting with those people, it could be a formal business setting at their facility. It could be a dinner. It could be, from casual to formal. But it's constant. There's a lot of extra hours. So now you were talking about, some days are 16 hours. Then when you make that leap, you jump off the cliff and you're thinking to yourself 24 hours in a day just isn't enough.
Right.
And you're doing the same thing. You're working 16-hour days and you've got both coasts. You're up early, hitting the East Coast, leaving late, finishing up with the West Coast. Then you get to do the stuff that you need to do, your administrative things, those types of things. But, the first 12 hours of your day is just working on behalf of your clients.
Okay. Awesome. So going from there, what would you say now is the social value of your work since you've been established for a few years?
That one's easy. Probably even after our first year, we started donating to local charities. So even coming out of our first year, yes, there's some profit there. Guess what? Some of those customers happen to be nonprofit agencies. So not only are we giving them very steep discounts above and beyond standard discounts for those type of sectors, but also contributing to their fundraising events, whether that be in person or, via check, whatever they would ask us for. So there's always been 2 or 3 local companies that are, helping, kids on the street, bringing them into the park board system, teaching them technology. We're supplying the computers. We're supplying some of the teaching. We've stood in front of the boys' home where juveniles are detained, and part of their daily part of their day is their regular high school classes, and I actually was part of one of their periods of learning, which we teach them technology. From there, it's just grown every year for the last 19 years after that to every year the Toys for Tots, Feed Our Starving Children. The whole company goes. We go in 2 shifts. We have a morning shift. Half the company's gone. It's a team builder. It's obviously, most people know about Feed Our Starving Children, so we're packaging food for folks. That team comes back in the morning. The rest of us go in the afternoon. Done that for, many years. We also enjoy a relationship with Toys for Tots. We're one of the distribution centers in our area, so other businesses or families, whomever, able to stop at our facility and drop off toys as well. So we've been proud of all those things. And, that's part of making a profit. That's part of giving back. And we've been extremely proud of that and grateful that we're able to do that. And it's been part of our heritage from year one.
Perfect. Thank you. So I guess now, after, learning everything that you've learned and going through what you have and reflecting on where you are now, would you ever participate in any entrepreneurial activity again after leaving your business in the future?
Yeah, I would love to. Scale, scope of it, I don't know. I like mentoring. I do with my employee professionals now. I love mentoring, coaching. As I mentioned earlier in this interview, that's kind of how I got to where I am. I love giving back like that. So to that extent, I will always do that. In terms of directly participating with an investment or management, it really depends on the opportunity. One of the things about entrepreneurship, too, is we should think about it is not just, hey, this is an opportunity for me to have my own company. It's an opportunity for me to make a lot of money. It really has to begin with, are you passionate about the endeavor? So I've been in technology, always interested in technology from a young age. I've been in technology before the PC was invented. I worked on mainframe computers. The changes that occur are very rapid in our industry. It causes me constantly learn. What I knew 6 months ago is already obsolete. I have to learn new things. So there's a great deal of passion. If I wasn't passionate about that, people say, well, I'm done learning. I don't need to know anymore. I'd like more things to be more stable, which is fine if that passion is still there. But so in terms of participating in something, it'd have to be something I'm really passionate about, just like I am this business. I wouldn't do it just for the sake of, hey, I want to do it again and again and again.
Right. Makes sense. Yeah, especially, it's good that you're open-minded about any future opportunities. So I think you covered everything very well. And so I just want to thank you for taking the time and sharing your experiences and business with us.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a good night.